Alright guys, so I'm gonna just do this video from scratch. I don't really have any complete plans of what I'm gonna talk about. I did a video about this before. It was called Educate Yourself. It was a very pro players kneeling and stuff like that point of view. I'm a firm believer in players being able to use their freedom of speech to speak about issues that they feel is right. And we've had something pop off. There is 3 weeks ago, NBA canceled some games, MLB canceled some games due to shooting of Jacob Blake. I want to give my second thoughts. I think most of you guys agreed with my Educate Yourself video. I don't think it's really something you can completely disagree with because I was just trying to like talk about my point of view, why I think it's very important that we should think about that our country maybe it's not completely equal. Okay, where do I start? The NBA was the strongest. The NBA, they've been doing the kneeling and the national anthem, and a lot of people are pissed off about it. A lot of people are like, I'm not gonna watch the NBA anymore, all that. So the players are kneeling during the national anthem. I do think there could be better ways to protest because obviously they know that people are not happy with this. People won't get on board because they're mad that you're disrespecting the anthem. And the people that I can really respect their opinion on that is the troops. If anybody would know what's disrespecting troops or not, would be probably troops themselves. The national anthem is very important to them, but it's never been about troops. Kaepernick started this by sitting during the anthem, and then he spoke with a former troop that told him that maybe sitting isn't right, what compromise can we make? And they made a compromise that Kaepernick kneels. Them kneeling instead of like sitting or something like that was a compromise to the troops. I think everyone can agree with the protest of equality, but not everyone can agree with kneeling during the anthem and all that, which I understand. But then the Chiefs opening night versus the Texans, they stood on the field and they locked arms. And they stood during the anthem, which they took your guys' opinion. They were like, sure, we're gonna preach what we want to preach without annoying the other side. We're gonna link arms as a form of protest. We want equality, and then we're gonna stand during the anthem. And then people booed. Keep in mind, this is my opinion. Booing during the anthem is way worse than kneeling. You're drowning out the sound of the anthem with boos. You're booing the national anthem pretty much. That's not any better. There's the whole argument that NBA players or just athletes in general should just shut up because they get paid a lot. They can't have an opinion because they get money. They can't speak out about anything they want. And the truth is 95% of counties in America, African Americans are well under the average medium income of families. I don't think it's a coincidence that if you look at Newport Beach, like the rich community in California, it's like 99% white. People grow up in bad neighborhoods, in bad schools with less opportunities, and I think there needs to be more funding towards these bad neighborhoods because it's not fair. Because these black families were brought over to these neighborhoods in segregation. I think there needs to be an understanding by the right that there is inequalities in this country. Black people get way under the median income, and I think that goes back to them being born into bad communities. There is obviously people in each race that are bad, that do crimes, but painting them out to be the entire race, I feel like some few bad African Americans that do crime and stuff are painted out as the whole race. This is why they're poor, because they're all doing crime and shit. And it's just kind of sad. NBA players, MLB players, NFL players, they can't even get step one, which is understanding that there's inequalities. Back to the point that you can't say anything because you're an athlete. You're gifted because you get all this money, okay? America is the greatest country in the world probably. But that still means that we can have problems in our country. We can still approach and talk about problems. It doesn't mean that if you're gonna complain, you gotta go into another country because we're in a great country. Like, we can still talk about problems in our country to try to make our country a better place. So keep in mind, these players get a big salary. The majority of their family and friends that they've grown up with are probably poor. The majority of the black athletes grew up in bad areas. They grew up in bad conditions. And the only way that they're getting this money is if they are gifted with a good body pretty much and work really hard for it. There's the whole idea that there's absolutely no racism in this country. There's still a lot of racist people. So maybe if you don't see racism where you're at, you can't just assume that it's nowhere else. Obviously there is outliers that are racist, but we can't have tolerance for that, and that's the main message these athletes are trying to get, which is not a bad message at all. If you know the NBA has these messages on their jerseys, again they linked arms at the football games, I'm with that. It's not a bad message. And obviously the whole kneeling thing, there could be a better way to protest, but they want to get their message across, and let's be real, this is probably the biggest way they can get their message across because it's a national anthem. You're filming everyone do the national anthem, and it has been getting a lot of attention. You know, the whole world's probably taking notice. Definitely at least all of America. I'm with everything they're doing because they're just trying to preach equality. Racism obviously is way better than it's been before, but there's still things we can fix. That's the great thing about our country. You can speak out about any issue you want. I think low-key, like, people don't want to admit that, but they have a hard time of watching these NBA players who are majority black speak out about whatever they want. I know you guys don't like to hear this sort of topics in sports, but I feel like it's important to talk about for anybody. Just anybody to state their opinion, and that's what I did with the Educate Yourself. That's what I want to do here. I just want to state my opinion. I'm going to throw a few articles down to try to give people an idea. And they will state their opinion before the game, and then they'll go on and play for 2-3 hours. People are acting like politics is getting shoved in my face. It's really not. Before the game, they're stating their opinions. I guess during the game, the players do have one message on their back, but it's like, the message is like equality, vote. It's not like bad messages that should be pissing people off. And yeah, guys, let me know in the comments, either side. We're not against freedom of speech. These are important subjects that I think we should talk about, be open to. I want opinions on both sides. Like, if you're against these players, what they're talking about, if you're against Black Lives Matter, anything like that, comment down below. I want opinions and I want conversation, and this is their goal. Their goal is to start conversation. If you listen to this whole video, I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. It means so much. And that's it. That's probably gonna be my last video on this. Let me know what you think about this. Thank you for watching. Peace.